Okay, welcome back. I wanted to get this out on YouTube as quick as possible as part of the video, and I hope that you find this video useful, and it's also going to answer a few questions about what's going on with this loco. Basically, this is a nice looking loco, and this is the Airfix tooling version that came with the Colliery set that you saw before. And although it is a nice looking loco, it looks exactly like the Hornby one you just saw. In fact, it is exactly the same tooling. Unfortunately, it's got a lot of problems since you last heard about it. When I actually looked at this loco on the stall at the Old Oak Common open day recently, when the guy ran it up and down on a bit of test track on the stall, it ran okay. It was a little bit noisy, but I said to the guy, don't worry about the noise, I'm pretty sure I can remedy that. So I took it home and I lubed it up with some lubrication oil and a tiny bit of engineering grease, and it did quieten things down a lot. However, there's been a lot of running faults with this loco, and I want to show you exactly what has been going on with it and what I'm going to do about it. So this one is 44525 compared to the other one, so it's another 4F, and this is again mentioned, it's the old Airfix design. And when I say Airfix design, they really haven't done nothing with this loco in terms of it being the old Airfix heritage. The more modern one you saw, they've done a lot to improve it, which in my opinion is much better and superior. So this one exactly has the Airfix motor in the tender, and the tender is the Achilles heel of this loco. It really is the Achilles heel. This really spoils the loco, full stop. Nothing in terms of looks wise, but it's when you actually flip it over and you look at this tooling, it is absolutely 100% crap. It's horrible. Everything you see here is plastic. The drive wheels are plastic. Ugh, they're nasty. I mean, come on. Obviously the gearing you'd expect to be plastic, obviously, but the only thing that you'll find metal inside this tender when you take the cover off, the only thing metal you'll find is the commutator, the pin that goes through the armature, brushes and the springs. That's it. Everything else on this is plastic, and it's horrid. Not in terms of noise only, but basically this motor inside the tender is an Airfix motor, and it is not designed for slow speed shunting or a high rate of knots if you want to go a little bit faster. It's not a very fast loco, and you can't get any shunting speed realistically out of it compared to the more modern Hornby and more up-to-date stuff out there in the market. So the problems I've been having with it is basically, in terms of performance wise, the motor's not very good. It's a bit crap. Even though I've cleaned it and serviced it, it's just not very good at all. These were legendary as having lots of faults with them and being poor performers and poor runners. So what we're going to do is basically, I've thought about it, and I'll show you why I'm going to do what I'm going to do. If I flip it over to this side, actually no I won't, I'll turn it around to do it properly. Let's bring it round to this side reasonably carefully. You notice on this side there's no crank pins and no rods. Well, as you can see, if I can zoom it in with the camera, these are new wheels. Believe it or not, these are the second set of drive wheels I purchased for it. I've been selling about 2 sets of wheels in it so far, which has cost a lot of money. But you see the bushings, the actual pins themselves, they've all gone horrid. Ugh. That one's new, hasn't that one's fairly decent, that one you can see, but look at the other two. That's horrendous. And that isn't a factory fault, it's actually my fault. That's what I've tried to do, because for some reason the pins that go in here, the actual little hex pins that screw the com rods in place, they've been working loose after running round about once or twice around the layout and normal to average speeds. I've been stopping the loco and noticing visually that these hex bolt pins have actually worked themselves very loose. And if you knit them up too much with an Expo tool, which is one of these, especially designed for unscrewing and tightening up hex bolts on standard Hornby Batman locos. Oops. Yeah, it's by Expo, and it's It's a pretty standard tool, as you can see. You can get them online, most model shops do them, but they're really handy for doing all your locos and servicing. And normally the hex bolts that go in, if I remove it from that angle and turn it round, apologies, if you look at it from that angle, you see the hex bolts there. They normally sit pretty standard behind, or in front of, should I say, the crank pins. And normally, if they're tightened up to the right torque, they don't normally work loose. But for some reason on the other side, as you see, they were working loose. So what I've done, I just put a little bit of super glue around the threads and tried to keep them in place. But obviously, it didn't go too well, and obviously they ended up like that. And also the other reason as well, when I actually put the other crank pins in, I tried to quarter the wheels roughly as best as possible, and they were going around quite smoothly, and they were set in the right direction and the right settings. And when you quarter wheels on a loco, when you quarter a wheel, that term means you align where the crank pins holes for the crank pins and the actual driving mechanism goes, i.e. the crank rods. You've got to line them thus so in a way they all line up. So when you turn the wheels and there's a revolution of the wheels, the whole thing goes round straight. Mine doesn't go round straight, as you can see, because there's no crank pins on the side, which means they go wonky. Well, what was happening was, guys, when I was putting the crank pins on the opposite side and doing the same thing, quartering the wheels up, lining up the crank pins and the rods nice and carefully, normally they should go up and down on either side of the loco, mechanically and visually should be nice and good. But for some reason they were sticking, and also they were doing this on each wheel, and that was on both sides. And I tried looking at that, taking the wheel off separately from the axle, lining it up properly and carefully, still the same problem. And the pins kept breaking, and I've just spent a lot too much money now on replacing these wheels. So what I'm going to do, to be honest with you, I have ordered some more hex bolt pins and some more crank rods from AC Models in Eastleigh, and I'm going to have one more go at it. If it doesn't work, I think the cheaper option, well, it's not really cheaper, it's actually contradicting myself. I've looked online, and Peter Spares, which is a great company, please do check out Peter Spares on eBay. They do every single spare part virtually for most makes of locos if you're stuck with parts. It's a little bit expensive, but for £43 you can get a complete motorised chassis for a 4F Hornby loco, which will fit this particular old Airfix tooling, because these are identical to the new ones, should I say. So basically what I'm going to do, guys, I'm probably going to strip this loco apart, and I'm going to get rid of this chassis. It's a pain in the arse, to be honest with you. A lot of problems, a lot of money so far in these wheels and hex pins and crank rods, you name it. The thing is not performing properly, and it's time to scrap this chassis completely. I think we get rid of it. We'll get a complete brand new modern motorised 4F chassis, which comes complete with the wheels, pins and rods already assembled. This is a case of trimming down the metal inside the firebox area. There's some tender weights, not tender weights, but something similar to tender weights inside the firebox area, some lead weights. Just basically trim that down a little bit for the motor to go up into this area, and in theory it should push up and go into there. Use the same pins underneath to secure the chassis and body, and there's two wires that come with the motor when you buy it as a kit. Basically they come locked off, so basically all you've got to do, if you want it to go to the tender, you can feed it through there and hardwire it into the tender, or it gives you the option of actually soldering it to the pickups and having this as the total drive, and having the tender as a dummy. So all I'd have to do really, I suppose, would be take out this nasty motor, throw it as far as I can over some cliff, and basically try and retain these wheels just as dummy wheels loose. I'm not sure how I'll do this actually. Ah, that's handy. Look at that. Oh, that's wicked. I just noticed that. Can you see that? See those axles? That's what I wanted. That's perfect, because they can basically freewheel as normal axles, and we'll just get rid of all the crap inside, and we'll have a dummy tender that just freewheels, and then I can go about putting the motorised 4F relevant drive mechanism to replace this piece of crap. So anyway, I hope that makes sense. But you know what, if you don't look at the underside of it and look at it as an actual body, and it's complete with the tender body and the loco body, it's a nice loco. Yeah, I mean I like it. It's nice. But it's got a few little marks on it. But do you know what I'm thinking of doing, guys? I'm thinking of being really, really, really naughty with this loco. I'm thinking about getting the old airbrush out and getting some frame dirt coloured paint and just basically giving us a very light weathering. Ooh, what do you reckon? A little bit of light weathering on that. Nothing too heavy. I mean, basically, we're not going to go to town and do that on it. That's a little bit excessive. That's my really worn and battered J94 from Canning Town. I'm not going to go that mad on it, but I'm going to give it a little light weathering, I think. Just a little tiny little bit of light weathering around the frame area. And on the boiler maybe. Just a tiny bit. Give it a little bit of character once we get the new motor in there. So what I'm going to do, guys, this is going to stay in the box until I get round to getting the new motor for this, and then once it's up and running and it's finished, then I'm probably going to weather it, and I'm going to add little things like some lamps on the front there and some little bits and pieces going on, a crew on the footplate definitely, and some fire irons and bits on the tender. We'll make it look like a decent model. We'll give it a new lease of life basically. So there we go. Anyway, I waffled on too much now, and I hope you haven't fallen asleep whilst listening to my boring voice. And I'll be back very shortly with another video, but I'm going to close this video now with, that's the new one. I'm going to close with that running with the colliery set, which is down on the deck at the moment, as you can see over there. It's on the deck. Apologies for not using the tripod. Why am I using this by my hand and not on the tripod? Because the tripod is being used as a lifting jack. As you can see, because I'm adding this bit to the goods depot. Oh, what's going to happen here? We don't know, but I'm going to add a little bit on there and do something interesting with this little bit of space now. I'm going to add, hopefully. That's been held in place by our good old friend Speed Bond by Deluxe. It's seriously, this is good stuff. If you're into building stuff on the layout, card kits or anything, this really bonds very well. It does what it says on the tin. So I recommend this. But if you don't want to use this, you can use normal PVA from the hardware shops. It does the same job basically. But I use this because it's quite good. Anyway, so we're going to build some exciting stuff there. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but that'll be another video to make as just an excuse to do some more railway modelling. Anyway, I think that 4F's getting a bit impatient over there, so we need to put something behind it, and we need to get the 37 running out, and hope we'll enjoy. Anyway, what else? Oh yeah, before we go, I nearly forgot. I might as well cram this in the video while we do it. Just bring it over here. This is another little project I've been working on, not a hairy arm. An ash wagon. Look at the amount of ash on that, my goodness. That's well and truly going to go to Watford tip. This is an old Bachmann China clay wagon. I've just put some new wheels on it this morning and added a bit of oil so it's a bit more better running. But that's now dry, that's been soaked in PVA, and then just some Geoscenics fire ash with real ash from the North, not Norfolk Railway, oh, North Yorkshire Moors Railway, that's it. They sent me some loco ash a long time ago. Most of it you'll see on the MPD depot and turntable areas, and a little bit now is on the top there. So that's going to be part of my Watford tip train, and you'll see that maybe in the video. Stay tuned. Hello everyone, this is Triple Valve 62 at the depot saying welcome to the video today, and wherever you're watching, thanks very much for watching today, and hope you found the recent videos interesting and informative. Okay, got a little bit of an issue here with this Hornby 4F. This is not the new one, by the way. This is the old one that we had problems with from the colliery set that you'll see on the previous videos. And I just got to the point where I got sick and tired of spending out money after money on crank pins and rods and bits and pieces for it. I thought, you know what, it's not getting far off the £40 mark that I've spent so far on wheel sets complete, and also crank pins and rods complete separately. It's quite expensive, so I thought, you know what, I might as well invest it in something a bit better. So I'm going to decide to order a motorised chassis that comes complete with all the wheels and common rods ready assembled for this particular loco, and yeah, I'm going to get one from Peter Spares when I get round to it. In the meantime, I thought, while we're waiting for that to happen, let's have a go at stripping out the tender. So what I've done, as you can see, I've sent the nasty offending, cheap and nasty Airfix motor to its grave over there. That's going well in the bin in a minute. And what I've done, it's quite easy to do, just took the tender off and I've just gutted out the motor. I've just took that out, as you can see, and just replaced the tender weights there and everything. The wheels underneath, they aren't fantastic. I want to replace these as well, because these are a bit cheap and nasty. They're not, you can't even see through the spokes, they're actually cast plastic, as you can see. Oops. Get it in the light there, that's better, isn't it? Yeah, you can't even see through the spokes, they're all moulded. How cheap and nasty is that? But at least at the end of the day, guys, at least look, she freewheels nicely. And to be honest with you, if I hook that up to that, and that runs smooth and quietly, and that trundles along behind it quite happily, pulling the rake of whatever, then job done. It's going to work much better. It's going to be something I've done myself with pride. So anyway, that's our little, that's the imaginary NRM workshop project for the next month or so. So we've got that on the workbench, and I'm going to give this some TLC, put this back to normal with that, get a motorised chassis. That's what we want for this, because I'm sick and tired of paying out money, and it's coming up close to the £45 mark so far that I've spent in terms of a couple of sets of wheels for these. About twice now I've ordered a complete set of wheels. Both had the same problem with the crank pins and rods themselves. That's totaled up to nearly £40. So for an extra couple of quid from Peter Spares, you can buy and get a brand new, up-to-date motorised 4F chassis for this complete loco, and it will fit. Given you take the weights out of the firebox and do a little bit of alterations, you can make that fit without a problem. So I'm going to get a motorised chassis for this loco, and once that's in there, and once we've sorted that out as well, then it's going to be a nice running loco to go with the other one. We can do some double heading there, some great fun. Anyway, poor old 44523, as you can see, is poorly at the moment, and we're going to do some repairs on her. Don't worry, she's not going to the scrap yard, she's being preserved by an enthusiastic team of workshop engineers here at Bentley Park, and at least we've done the justice to this tender and ripped the nasty cheap motor out of it over there. Ugh. Tuh, tuh. Anyway guys, that's a quick update. I'm going to go and get the Sunday lunch on, and I'll see you soon. Take care.